Hi, I'm Stephen Filling. I teach in the Department of Accounting at California State University, Stanislaus. I've most recently been the chair of the Academic Senate of the CSU for a couple of years while being a union activist. One of the really important things for me is that the union has, if anything, probably strengthened the role of faculty governance in terms of working conditions. So, for instance, when I propose a new course, one of the requirements that I specify is how many students this course will handle. Left to itself, I suspect the deans and provosts would be ratcheting that up daily. And truthfully, faculty governance can say, we don't agree with that, but that's about all they can do. When the union gets involved and says, excuse us, but you are changing conditions of work, you have to do meet and confers about this and be very explicit about what's going on, it tends to put some constraints on the misbehavior of our administrators. The notion that having a union would somehow obviate the need for faculty governance for an academic senate is just ill-founded. I think the two actually work together to amplify each other's power. Academic senates tend to create policies local to the institution, local to the campus. Usually, certainly in the case at the CSU, a lot of the policies the Academic Senate creates are based upon the strictures imposed by the union contract. And there are huge numbers of areas where we have joint interests. One of our former chancellors, the head of the system, was very fond of saying there's a bright white line down the center of the table, unions here, governance is here, and never the twain shall meet. The reality is exactly the opposite. Everybody in higher education has a concern about workload. Everybody in higher education has a concern about academic freedom. Everybody in higher ed cares about intellectual property. And those shared concerns, I think, are what leads us to the best solutions. It's true that the Academic Senate has some probity as the official voice of the faculty of the campus. It's also true that sometimes what they say is constrained by the fact that they are speaking as the official voice of the faculty, and it's useful to have a union there that can say sometimes what needs to be said to speak truth to power, if you will. One of the things that's been a reality for us is that the administration of the CSU, our state employees, they're at-will employees. They live in a very political world. The CSU's budget is sometimes contingent on what those bureaucrats say or don't say. Having a union who is standing outside those negotiations and able to inject appropriate commentary and indeed sometimes provide leadership to the administration has been a really good thing. As an example, earlier this year, one of California's legislators came up with a really ill-conceived plan to increase graduation rates by forcing campuses to have four-year contracts with students. The administration, because this is an influential legislator, was unable to say, you know, sir, that's a really bad idea. CFA was able to take leadership on that, and indeed the CSU administration ended up carrying the CFA letter around saying, here, see, this is why this is a bad idea, without having to say it themselves. I guess in a sense we provide them cover for acknowledging that sometimes people have ideas that just aren't very workable.